All right, what's going on? Um, this is gonna be like I guess my fourth or fifth time trying to make this video. A few times I had interruptions. Other times I had some points I wanted to make, but I wasn't completely satisfied with how I was coming across with what I was trying to say. But I had just recently got back from KSB hospital, and I had to do my COVID test. And the purpose of that is because my girlfriend is going in come this Saturday to be induced for labor. So upon that, hopefully, the birth of my son will be on 10/10/20. And yes, I am looking forward to that day. But moving forward, uh, I feel that I had to bring this topic of this discussion to the table because as of recent, there were comments being made in regards to people such as myself, or should I say, of people who are of my kind, who are mixed or biracial, and our position and role that we are supposed to play when it comes to addressing certain topics in reference to race or law enforcement and so on and so forth. And it kind of triggered me. I'm not going to lie, because I'm the type of person that says, who the fuck are you to tell me what I can and what I can't speak on or against? Um, and I guess we're pretty much jump started this whole nonsense will be when Colin Kaepernick decided to bring awareness to a issue that was, I guess, a problem that needed to be addressed that has been ignored for such time when it came to the injustice system and law enforcement's interaction with the black community. And he got quite the criticism for that. But it's not surprising when you hear, how should I put it, the true Americans speak against a person like Colin Kaepernick, because it's expected. It's, it's as much expected as when you see a cloud in the sky, it's almost guaranteed to rain. Um, but when other people bring attentions to themselves, people who you weren't aware of before that you have become aware of, such as the Tommy Lawrence or the Cannon Owens or the Brandon Tatums or the ABLs, and you hear them speak, and you like, we got these kind of people that exist? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? This is a joke, right? This can't be real. But unfortunately, sad enough as it is, it is. But getting to the point of the rhetoric that I'm hearing, or what has been said and is continuing to be said, um, and I'm using the example of Colin Kaepernick for this particular moment. When he chose to speak out against the injustices plaguing the black community when it came to law enforcement interactions, um, he was trying to bring awareness, which has been ignored for some time. And the criticism that he has received, that I've noted and was like, are you serious? Was that, one, he was mixed, so how does he have the right to speak on what goes on in the black community? Another one was that he was adopted by an all-white family and grew up in a privileged household. So how would he know anything about the struggles that go on, and how can he identify with the black people and things of that nature? And then it went from that kind of nonsense to the oh well, he's an athlete, so how does he identify with those, when he makes so much money and this, that, and the other, and he has no problems, and why is an athlete speaking up for a community that can speak for itself? And that was very interesting. I mean, that was aside from like him deciding to kneel during the national anthem and the hell he caught from that. But apart from that, that right there is like, okay, so allow me to understand this. In a country that people hold to such high esteem, where we have rights and privileges and the Constitution and this, that, and the other, it seemed like the those rights tend to be selective and to who they are applied to and to who they are not, which I don't understand, because then that brings forth a bit of contradiction and hypocrisy. Why should it matter if an athlete, especially a person who is mixed, speak on an issue that he feels passionate about and decide to bring awareness to, when those within that community tried to speak up and against, but was successfully silenced and successfully ignored? How is it that when somebody says you need to do your due diligence and do some research and find validation to the arguments in which you're about to present, um, supporting an opinion or an idea against certain things, like an athlete speaking out against injustices, you shouldn't do that, because when you make a reference towards history and what blacks have done as far as breaking down barriers in regards to being in sports, and while trying to make their way into the sports arena and fighting against injustices at the same time, athletes have been doing that. So that was kind of stupid for some people to say. And then for a person who says, well, he grew up privileged. So just because you grew up privileged above those who are unfortunate, you shouldn't be made aware of a problematic situation that has been ignored, that you could somehow, you yourself, fix, where others decide that's not their problem, so they don't feel the need to address it. I mean, I'm trying to understand the logic behind it. And the only thing you could do is, well, damn, well, since he did something that we didn't approve of, let's assassinate his character. Starting with him being mixed, him having a white family. Do you hear the stupidity in that? But at the same time, these are the individuals who are holding white people up on such a pedestal and of high esteem. I don't get it. I myself am a person who is half black, half white. Unlike Colin Kaepernick, though, I was adopted into an all black family. Um, my family was successful. Father served in the military, went to college, as so did my mother. He was a tool and die maker by trade, working at Pratt and Whitney in East Hartford. My mother worked for the IRS, and she had a realtor's license. My father was a landlord of 4 buildings, which he owned, and sent my sister and I, who was adopted from a different family, into our family. Um, Sent us to private schools. Um, I did some college at Central Connecticut State University. My sister, after she served her time in the military, went off to U of H in Houston. Um, with that being said, my father never influenced me to pick a side. As a matter of fact, what he taught me was that at a time when I was growing up, he said, "Son, you're going to come across people that are going to influence you, whether it be good or bad. There are going to be assholes that you come across." And he said, point blank, in every race, there are assholes. But don't let those encounters give you a general perception on the whole entire race. Judge that individual as such. I've seen things, good and bad, looking at white folks. I've seen things good and bad looking at black folks, Hispanics, Indians, and I can't say much for others, but for the most part, that's where my exposure lies. Um, I would have thought, instead of being criticized as a person of a mixed background, you would think we would be the example of a people to bridge the gap between two races that have been in conflict since this country has been founded. But unfortunately, there's still that division today. I'm noticing there's more division within the black community more so than I see in the white community. And it's not to say that the white community don't have its own share of problems, because they do. Oh, trust me, they do. But what I notice is that we are so much critical amongst ourselves that it's gotten to a point where one has gotten way out of hand and two is ridiculous beyond doubt. And I don't get it. The other thing I don't get is how people can entertain narratives when everybody's experiences aren't the same. And when you look at this country, we got 50 states divided by how many cities, towns, and villages and stuff like that. That what goes on in one particular demographic doesn't define what goes on in another demographic. And I've said this countless times before. It's like you can have sex trafficking over here, racial injustice over here, uh, problems over here with law enforcement, problems over here with class or the drugs or the gangs or whatever. I mean, certain things are spread out. And the thing is that the reality is, and I don't see how people cannot grasp this concept, because it's not that fucking hard to sit there, see, and understand. I understand that there are people who have lived sheltered lives that haven't actually took a step outside their own demographics to see what goes on elsewhere within their own country, or have stepped foot outside their own neighborhood, so to speak. And that's a true fact of nature in Houston, which I was in disbelief, but hey, it's a reality. Um, but in regards to this whole racial situation amongst people who are mixed, I don't get where people have the audacity to tell those such like myself what we can and what we can't speak on. Like, what gives you that right to dictate to us? Where we can, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. Because if nobody's telling you about what comes out of your mouth and you feel you have the right to do so as such, what gives you the right to tell me what the fuck could come out of my mouth or what thoughts or opinions I could come up with and address? I'm just curious. And what the fuck does being mixed have to do with a person, the individual, having the right to speak their fucking mind? And I find it kind of funny at the same time, because you have a Brandon Tatum who's in an interracial relationship, a Cannon Owens who's in an interracial relationship. Rumor is she's pregnant. Rumor is Tatum has mixed kids of his own. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so they're critical of people who are mixed speaking on certain topics, but yet they're going to be parents, if they're not already, of biracial children themselves, which is very interesting. The one thing my father, I got to give him credit for, is that he never indoctrinated me or conditioned me to look at white or black people through his perception. He said, when you grow up, you need to formulate your own opinion. I'm not going to influence that. And I have to give that man credit, because he understood, damn, I'm raising a mixed child. I can't impose. He didn't feel it was his right. But not many people think that way. Yes, have I grown up identifying as black? Yes, I did. Was I put in that hyphen American box when you go to fill out certain shit? Yes. Is it right? Who's to say? Was it made by the system created in this country? Do we want to go down that rabbit hole? But it's a lot that I don't understand, that when people want to, how shall I say, take pokes and jabs at other people for speaking up for others who can't speak for themselves. Like, you would think that's something that would be honorable, or something that you can say, hey, that's a stand-up person, But instead, we got these other individuals tearing people down. And they make a living and a killing off of tearing people down. And they find joy in that shit. Like, how can you be content with yourself tearing somebody down just to appease other people? And then this is what I get. Oh, well, because you speak up for black people and, you seem to be critical of white people. No, I'm critical of both. But I'm going to say this. The reason why I speak up for black people is because they're always criticized. They're always told when they should speak, when they shouldn't speak, what's right, what's wrong. they're demonized by people such as a Brandon Tatum and a Candace Owens, but they said that they're for black people. That's an oxymoron. Whatchamacallit? But then you don't need white people to have others speak up for them. They can speak for themselves. They have been doing so. And truth be told, they've been speaking for other people as well. If you want to be honest about it. But I'm not here to condemn white people, because I know the part that they play in having to, how should I say, support the black community. And that's when you start to see that there's actual unity within this country. But when people say, well, what about the identity thing or whatever, I'm like, well, okay. You hear a lot of criticism on the black community in reference to the identity situation. But truth be told, white people go through that too. But nothing's argued against that. What do I mean? Okay. Let's see. You had the Italians, the Germans, the Jews, the Polish, the Irish, and other Portuguese. Okay. Now, they're divided. They're immigrants, right? But as soon as they touch foot here in this country and took on the identity as being American, their culture and their tradition slowly disappeared. And they took on the identity as being as what? White. And it isn't until you have a conversation with them and say, hey, what's your family history? What are you? Then you are told that, oh, they're this or they're that, whatever. But now you don't hear too much of their language, which is sad in my opinion, because you can be an American, but you can also hold the traditions of being Polish, Irish, Italian, Portuguese, or what have you, and being American as well. But it's that conditioned mindset that we have all come to adopt. A lot of it, I feel, is trivial. There's a bunch of nonsense. But the one thing I will say is we have a privilege in this country that is often challenged by the views of others, views and opinions of others, which contradicts why we have a right to begin with. And that is the right to our opinion and the right to speak on it, right, wrong, or indifferent. There's a lack of understanding when it comes to having debates or discussions, because there could be some things that I agree with you on, and there are things that I could disagree with you on as well. But when you dismiss validation based on what people have been through or what they are going through or what they have endured, there's a level of insensitivity that it makes me wonder where we are as a people. How can we come to common ground on things that need to be discussed when we're at each other's throat, criticizing each other over nonsense? And some criticism needs to be addressed. Don't get me wrong. But for the stupid rhetoric and people being entertained by it because, they pander to an echo chamber, I'm just saying. But anyway, that's the end of my rant. I'm about to go, I'm about to go eat. I think I put my drink in the refrigerator. I'm a little bit thirsty. I have no endorsements. So if my video gets flagged, it's not with the intent of promoting such product as Pepsi. But until that, next time, next video,